Okay, we're here today again, and we're going to be talking about rodents, birds, animals. They all do damage to your garden, and the one that I find that most people have problems with are gophers. And you probably know in the past, so you know now, gophers eat vegetation. They don't eat meat or anything. When I was in school, the teacher said, you know, put a bunch of fish heads all around the perimeter of your garden, and they don't like the smell of rotting fish or rotting meat. So you could keep them away, and that was a deterrent, but it never worked for me. So we used to go into traps, and these are the traps we have right here. This is the one I always use. If you can see that real close, it's a Maccabee Trap, okay? And they're hard for me to set in my old age, so Thomas set them. And it's got a bar. This bar has to come up. But then the gopher comes this way, hits this with his nose, and you got the gopher. When I first came to teach here, these things were all bent. The students were bringing it over the top. So when this comes down, it's over the top, the gopher comes there and it throws the gopher off. And this was all bent. And I said, and they had about 10 gopher traps all bent. And I said, somebody's been teaching you the wrong thing. And so the only thing I could tell you is this has to come up, and a lot of time you keep this finger underneath and with two fingers push down. And in my old age, I'm very weak, but this is how you have to do it. This, and this one comes up, and then it goes through this. And then you keep it on it like a hair trigger. You don't make it go all the way through, just barely through. So he just has to touch it with his nose, and you've got him.
And that little piece of wire there in the front.
Oh yeah.
That's got to hold the top too.
This is the most important part. I'm glad you mentioned it. This here has to grab that. That's what keeps it down, okay? So if you want, Tom, put that back up there,
right.
And then maybe you could set this one.
Okay. All right, Gus here asked me to show y'all how to set up these gopher traps, a Maccabee. So the first temptation when you're looking at things is just to go start making mistakes. So you just pop this down and you try to bring this part of the little metal up, and it just won't fit. So you go back to square one. What you got to pay attention to is this little stick of metal's got to come up through there first, and eventually it's going to end up in this little hole right there. And down here, up here, this little piece of metal, that's going to hold on to this piece. So here we go. Stick the piece of metal through first and foremost, pop it down. And this part requires a little finger strength, but you should be able to just grab it. At this point, you're safe, holding it even with one hand like this. This little trigger is held right there at the tip. That holds to this, and then you can bring this little plate, pressure plate, coming on up, just like that. And then gradually let go of your finger. Ease it away slowly so you don't get your caught. There you go. That trap is set. And you could go ahead, stick something down in there, boom, here comes the gopher, and it'll slam this part, and there goes the trap. So simple as that. And then from doing little Maccabees, then you would advance and go further on. This is the next kind of trap.
What Thomas is showing you actually is, don't think you're going to learn to set these traps in one time. You set them and set them and set them, and then you'll get good at it. Your thumbs have to get real strong, your wrist, and when you first start, you just don't have it. And in fact, I'm a pretty good trapper, and over the years, Diana, who works with Robert, his girlfriend, she's now the trapper in our firm, and she's really good. She gets them all the time. So the other thing is, before we go too far, these are two other types. Thomas set these already, and so this one got a little bar that comes down here. So when they hit this, boom, this comes up and pinches them right in there. That's where the gopher is, in here, and you got him, okay? I don't even know about this one, but this is a box trap. This one, they stay alive, right?
No, there's a piece of wire that grabs them.
That gets them too, okay.
Hopefully in the neck or something, because otherwise it's not lethal, it just grabs their behind parts.
Yeah, this looks to me it would be more expensive. These other traps, the first one I showed you is called a Maccabee Trap, okay? So basically though, what I'm gonna show you is how to set the trap. Gophers, my son Robert always said, they're only still around because they're smarter than we are. You know, everybody's been trying to kill gophers for centuries, and they're still here. They're very intelligent, and if you see their network of tunnels, they're engineers without going to college, you know. And so anyway, a lot of times you'll see a mound, these mounds here, and they push dirt up, the soil up. And what that is, when they're digging their tunnels down below, they gotta get rid of the soil. So they shove it up, and you'll see these mounds around. Usually, you're not gonna catch them there. You could, a lot of times, you could take that away and look for the hole. But a lot of times, they could tell you've been there, so next time they come, they push dirt in front of them, and that knocks the trap off. So my method, and it's not mine, it was done, I got it out of books and stuff, is this method right here. You dig a hole down till you find a lateral tunnel. Goes both ways, not one way. And then you put your trap here and here. So when they come running, either way, boom, you got them. But one thing to remember, you don't use your hands down in there at all. You take your shovels and trowels and rub them in grass or in plant material, and then dig the hole. And then I put a piece of plywood or wood over the top and put a little bit of soil around the edges, so this is totally dark. So when the little guys come running, they're not looking for if somebody's been around, if there's some light. And usually I always get them, okay? This is a sure method. This method is sometimes you'll see a hole with no soil. The gophers come up and they look around. And they come out of a lawn, they're looking around. If you ever been to ballparks and stuff where kids play, I used to sit and watch my kids play, and all of a sudden a gopher would come up and just barely stick his head out. So you could put a trap down in there, but you can't open the hole big. See, so when you dig this one, if these holes are smaller than the trap, you can't make the hole bigger. They'll know you've been there. So what I do then, make this hole bigger and put the traps right in here in the middle part. So you don't, they just put their nose right there and right there. You don't go into the hole, you don't have to. And then a lot of time when I do that, I'll put some smelly lettuce or greenery, and they smell that, they come running a mile a minute. Okay? One time I had this type of hole. I'm putting the trap in, and it clicked. I said, oh, I hit it. You know, you could hit that flipper when you're putting it in. I got to reset it after. I pull it out, I had a gopher. I was putting it in, and he came along, and I got him. And I said, this is unbelievable. Okay? So the next thing I could tell you about gophers that I did, this is like the atomic bomb. We were building a retaining wall. And so we dug the soil out, and we were standing on the bottom. This is the bottom. And we dug a hole. let's see, we dug the hole. Oh, yeah, so this is what it looked like. We dug down a face, we're gonna put a retaining wall in front of this wall. And this is the bottom down here. And then from the bottom of the hole, we wanted to dig down another hole with a post hole digger, like this, to put a post in. We're gonna put in railroad ties, okay? So we drop a railroad tie, it was still too high. We dig a little bit more at the post hole digger, just needed about another ½ inch. We dug a little bit more, put the post hole digger, now it was a ½ inch high again. That can't be. I said, put your hand in there and get some of that dirt out. And my cousin was working on it, he goes, there's something alive in there. I go, what are you talking about? We went and got a flat, oh no, that wasn't, we took the railroad tie out, then he felt something alive, or something in there. So we get the flashlight, there's a dead gopher in there. When we dropped this, the gopher came running from uphill here and came running out. It's kind of like a cartoon. He's just running in the air and dropped down in the hole. Then we dropped the railroad tie on top of him. So we thought, poor guy, I mean, the atomic bomb hit him, you know? And so we always, never forgot that. It reminded me of some of the cartoons you see, you know? But strange things happen, okay? The other thing that we run into are moles, and what moles do, moles are carnivores. They eat meat, they eat bugs. So if this is the lawn area, they just hump it up. They go right underneath the grass, and so you'll see it a little bit mounded up, that's it. And you can see where they went, wherever they went. And they're like a vacuum cleaner. They're just eating bugs right and left. So you could probably have sod web worms or something like that. And these are really hard. I've never trapped one. Diana got one with the Maccabee Trap, of all things. She was looking for gophers, so maybe the moles sometime would use a gopher run and run through it. So anyway, you put the trap is like this. And what it is, it's a big thing with 2 spikes here to hold it in the ground, and then it's got 3 or 4 prongs. So, and you set that just above the ground. So you got a little plate here. When the gopher pumps it up, bam, down come these spikes.
Like a guillotine or something?
Yeah, and the only reason I never used them, it's got to be on the outside. So you can't use any of these traps where you have children, your own cat, your dog. I've had them, how I told you how I cover up with a piece of wood. The dog threw that away and went down and got the gopher. He didn't get hurt, but you know, you don't want that on your list, you know. People can come after you on that one. So be aware when you do use traps to think of that for the safety of animals and your clients and the children. If you set a trap and they have children, maybe you tell the people, don't let the children out in the yard anymore.
Maybe put a cone or rope it or check it frequently.
Yeah, but make sure kids go through everything, you know. Even though you marked it off, I'd say don't leave them out.
Okay.
Okay. See you next time.
Thank you.